Facebook that's watching as well. We got a lot of people tuning in. So Teresa, yeah, everyone, they're all starring and hearting right now. All right, well, you guys ready to get into some training tonight? So I'm going to be kind of shooting. I put together a little training and sharing with you a little bit of our story of how we've utilized social media to be able to grow our business. And a lot of times people introduce me as a social media builder or network social media guru. I'm not a social media guru. I don't know how to run, drive traffic or any of those things. If there's a term that I would try and use for myself, it would be a content marketer or an attraction marketer. Just a little bit of our story and how this relates. So 2008, the mortgage industry crashed and my wife and I lost everything. We had we had started network marketing a few years prior, and up to that point, we had been building the business part-time. And, I always looked at network marketing, first of all, as kind of a part-time deal. And as a result of that, it always produced a part-time income for me. And I think that perception is reality. And it wasn't until the mortgage industry crashed, we lost a lot of money in the real estate market, that I realized that this was the only vehicle that I had at that point to be able to go and get it all back. And so sometimes when your back is against the wall, that becomes the greatest springboard to go and do something new. And we were hungry. And so we went to work. And, I think I've shared the story with some of you guys before, but, not only did we lose our home and we had our car repossessed and, lost all of our money, don't ever say to yourself, it can't get any worse than this. Don't ever say that to yourself, because what happened to me was I fell in a window well and I broke my kneecap at the same time. And 6 weeks later, I was just in recovery and I had to go to an in-home presentation because we were really trying to build this business. And so I went to a new getting started training for one of our newest distributors. It happened to be my daughter's kindergarten teacher, and their Rottweiler attacked me and I broke my knee a second time in 6 weeks. So when I say the dark cloud was over me, has anybody ever had like a year like that where it's just nothing's going well? It was really, really a tough time in our life. And so there I was laying in bed on this machine that goes up and down just so that your knee doesn't, just so that it doesn't get all stiff or whatever and moving. And I couldn't go out and do anything. And I was totally depressed. And Summer comes home and she says, hey, I was just at Amy's and she was doing a workout or whatever, yoga. And she told me about this thing called the Facebook. You should get on the Facebook and you should start connecting with people. And you should start, because you can't really go out and meet people right now. And you should just get out there and start reconnecting with old friends. And so we got on social media, and that was really when I started focusing on social media to build my business. And at that time, I started reconnecting with a lot of old friends, and I had to make a decision about what I wanted my brand to be. I had to make a decision about how I wanted to be perceived, because just like in person, you typically have about 10 seconds before people size you up. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. First impressions are everything. And social media is kind of the same way. People arrive at your page and they kind of look at your page and their pictures, and very quickly they form an opinion. And whether that's right or wrong, it's true. And that's what happens. And so Summer and I consciously sat down and said, okay, what do we want our message to be? What do we want to be putting out? Because whatever you put out, the law of attraction, right? Whatever you put out is what you attract. And so we literally sat down and on purpose defined what it is that we wanted people to, or who we wanted to be. What do we want people to know about us? How did we want to represent ourselves? And we defined that. And then once we defined it, everything that we posted aligned with what we wanted that brand to be. And for us, it was about family. It was about values. It was about professionalism. To me at that time, network marketing was still really struggling. There was a stigma about it, and it was, you still had to overcome that stigma quite a bit more than you even do today. And so my whole thing was I wanted to bring a different level of professionalism to the table. And so everything that we did on purpose. And I want to just give you some tips tonight that'll help you when it comes to your social media, and more specifically with attraction marketing. Now tonight, this is going to be kind of phase one of this training, because I can go a lot deeper, but I don't have enough time tonight. So I'm going to give you guys some good tips tonight that I think will help you guys when it comes to your overall social media. So the first thing that I would ask you is to define your brand. How do you want to be known? Notice this picture. So this picture My kids are quite a bit older. The one that's giving the thumbs up right there is getting married in 60 days. So this picture was right about 2009, 2010. This is when we started focusing on our brand and started focusing on the content that we were putting out. And just know this, the best marketing doesn't really feel like marketing. The best kind of marketing never really feels like marketing. So, when you go out and start, when Elise is doing a video and she's putting out valued content and she's educating, she's attracting an audience. She's attracting people that want to learn more, right? But she's not going out there and just sales pitching. Nobody wants to be pitch slapped, right? Nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to buy, but nobody wants to be sold. And so, I would ask you to consider for a moment, as you look through some of these pictures, as we were as we're shaping our brand, what do you see? What do you feel? What do you think of? And is it consistent with the things that we were trying to portray? Again, family values. We wanted people to know that that comes first for us. We wanted people to know that we are professionals in the industry. We wanted people to know what we do, but we don't want to just constantly talk about our company all the time. Now, I know there's gurus that are out there that tell you, hey, never talk about your company. For some people, that's fine. And if that works for you, that's great. I will tell you that, I typically run where I'm doing about 40 to 50% of my content usually is focused around family and lifestyle, because I believe that people do business with people that they like and people do business with people that they trust. And I believe that authenticity is the gateway to building true relationships. And one of the mistakes that I see a lot on social media is people trying to mimic somebody else's brand, people trying to pretend to be someone else, and it doesn't come across as authentic, and people can really sense that right away. So this is what people, when they come to my page, this is what they see. They see a professional picture of Summer and I, and it's a good quality picture. For those of you that are watching this, if you've got a picture of your dog or a cat or something else on your Facebook page, I would ask you to consider for a moment that people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. They want to get to know you and see you. And so I would encourage you to go out and spend a little bit of money and get a good profile picture or a good shot. It doesn't always have to be a professional picture. I mean, today, gosh, the phones are so good that you can take great quality pictures. But I would ask you to, again, define your brand. How do you want to be known? And everything that you're sharing should always tie back to that. You see my family picture on my cover page. Here's another picture from a few years ago that we did. Again, this is a picture of family first. We used to travel a lot with our family and take our kids to the events. And this is a picture of, us being recognized on stage and my family being there with me. Again, consistent with the decision that we made of what we wanted our brand to be. Creating amazing life experiences with the people that we love and care about most, right? That's kind of my mission statement. That's what I'm in business for, is to go create those amazing life experiences. So again, it ties back to the overall brand. Again, lifestyle, just sharing the lifestyle. This is, 12, 13 years ago from the first photo shoot that we had in network marketing. Here's another one. This is kind of where it all started for us. So this was about 2009, 2010. It's the dead in the middle of the juice blend cycle. Everybody was fighting over who had the strongest Borax scores in their juices at the time. You had Monavie and Zango and Zri and Zija and X-Fuse and all these juices. That, we were all about marketing and branding. So we had our car wrapped. There was no question about what we were doing. And again, this is all what we did on purpose. And this was the point of this, was to, again, passively market our business, but to create a brand and an image and a lifestyle that allowed other people to say, what is it you guys do? I want to know a little bit more. So I would ask you just to consider, when you see these photos and you see these pictures, this is my son at 12 years old speaking at his first event on stage about what it's like. We were talking about a topic called Your Financial Freedom Day, the day that you no longer have to trade time for dollars. You can do the things you want to do rather than the things that you have to do. And I invited my son up on stage to talk about what it's like to have his parents home every single day. Just kind of a side note, and this is just for those of you that maybe you're getting into the business and you're into the first year, we've used the business as an educational platform to teach our children about free enterprise, about capitalism, about leadership. We went away on a weekend trip one time, and we came home and we had a great trip. It was a 3-day weekend, and I opened up my back office on Sunday night and I invited the kids to come and sit down with me. And I showed them the amount of sales that took place between Friday and Sunday and the earnings that went along with that. And I asked them, I said, how much did I work this week? And they said, you didn't even work at all. How's that even possible? And I said, that's what residual income is. That's what we're building. That's why I work so hard to create the ability to be able to do those things. So we've always used the business as a platform, but we've incorporated the family. Now, I'm not telling you that this is what your brand should be. I'm sharing with you that when we made a conscious decision of what our brand was, how we wanted to be known, and if you follow me at all on social media, you know that everything ties back to that professionalism, that family, the family values, and creating amazing life experiences with the people that we love and care about most. So I would ask you, first and foremost, number one, to take some time to define your brand. So that is tip number one, okay? Number two, you need to define your audience. You have to define it. You wanna almost create like an avatar of your ideal candidate that you're trying to communicate to. Who is your audience? And so I took some time real quickly when I was putting this training together tonight to just kind of think about who's the audience that I'm communicating to. Here's a couple of examples. 35 to 55, married, kids, and bills. Why do I say that? 35 to 55, married, kids, and bills. What happens at about 35 years old? People start to get into that situation where they're starting to get into debt. Their career hasn't advanced to where they thought it would. That, you know, they believe that maxed out credit cards and broken dreams are kind of the norm now, right? 55 years old, people are starting to think about retirement, realizing that they're not on the right track. So that's kind of the sweet spot, but you got to dig a little bit deeper. You got to really drill down this hole a little bit. So who else am I trying to talk to? People that are searching for solutions, right? Now more than ever before in the history of our economy, people are looking for solutions. They're looking for more money. They're looking for more time in their life to be able to do what they want to do rather than what they have to do. They're looking for better health. So these are people that, again, this is my audience. Entrepreneurs. I want to attract entrepreneurial-minded individuals. And you're going to see in a moment how by defining your audience, it helps you to create the content that you're going to be putting out. And these are the people that you're talking to. I'm going to take it a little bit further on the next step in just a moment. Who else do I want to attract? I want to attract network marketing professionals, people that are in the network marketing industry. I want to attract people that are looking for a coach or a mentor in their life, somebody to encourage them, to inspire them, to motivate them, to uplift them. I'm looking for people that share the same values as I do. I made the mistake earlier on that I got in business or sometimes did business with people that didn't have the same values as I did, and it never ended well. So for me today, one of the things I'm most thankful for in network marketing is I don't have to do business with everybody. This is my business, and I choose who I want to work with. And so I enjoy that, and I believe that when you define your values and you lead with those values, you also attract people that share similar values as well, and that's worked very well for us. One of the most important things that we've ever done is raise the bar in the inner circle of raise the bar in who we allow into our inner circle. When we did that consciously, it was about 2012, 2013, after going through some challenges and struggles with some business partners, we just started kind of raising that bar and closing the circle a little bit. And I can tell you that it was probably the best decision that we ever made in our life. People that value their health. You know, there's some people that are at this place where they just don't value their health yet. And I'm not going to try and convince them of anything. So I'm already looking for people that value their health. People who are already consuming supplements. 8 out of 10 people consume supplements. I'm not going to waste my time trying to convince the other 20% that they need to buy supplements. People who have an interest in personal growth and development. I would also caution you to be careful what you put on your wish list, right? Because when I first started network marketing, I wanted people that were broke. But I got to tell you guys something. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, and a lot of the time I should say, people that are always broke, they're broke for a reason. They're broke because of their habits. They're broke because of look, I was broke and this circumstances changed in 2009, so not always. But a lot of times there's reasons why people are broke, and those aren't always the people that you want in your business. I'm not saying we don't want to give everybody an opportunity to change their circumstances, but when I'm launching a business, I want to launch a business with people that are hungry, people that are motivated, entrepreneurial minded, people that are movers and shakers, people that are already successful, because I know that's how I can shortcut the growth curve, right? Eventually you're going to attract all different types of people, and that's okay. But when I'm launching my business, I want to attract people that are hungry, motivated, and ready to go. So be careful with but you need to define your audience. And I encourage all of you guys to take the time to go through this. Once you've done that, then you need to define their pain point. And I just chose 3 of those, the people that I just chose on there is to give you an example. So 35 to 55, married, kids, and bills. sweet spot. Now, it doesn't mean, by the way, that I don't want to work with somebody who's 60 or 65, or that there isn't an amazing 25-year-old millennial that couldn't tear up this business. What I'm saying is that's kind of the range, and that's who I tend to talk to when I'm posting or when I'm putting out valued content. So what's their pain? A lot of them have maxed out credit cards and broken dreams. They're not where they want to be financially, okay? People searching for solutions, more money, more time, better health. Some of them have dead-end jobs. They have no sense of fulfillment, no energy, no time for their kids, no money to be able to go and take a vacation. They can't sleep because they're stressed out. Maybe they're depressed, or they have maybe a lack of purpose, no money for retirement. They're living paycheck to paycheck. These are the problems. These are the challenges that these people that I'm going to be communicating to with my content are experiencing. So if I know what their challenges are, guess what my content's going to be about? When I'm putting out valued content, I'm talking to them, but I'm talking from a place of solutions because I already know what their challenges are. Network marketers, what are their challenges, you guys? You guys know the challenges. Feeling intimidated or feel fearful or frustrated or not getting the support that they need, limiting beliefs, distractions, no time, being consistent. They don't feel like doing the work. When I emphasize the word feel, because professionals learn to overcome, you don't just do the work when you feel like it, right? And those are the people that only do the work when they feel like it are going to struggle in this business. You've got to learn to master how you feel and your mindset. Lack of skills. All of these things are pain points. And so for me, when I'm creating content, I'm focusing on solutions to these challenges because I know that this is my audience and here's what they're struggling with. So I'm going to capture their attention with content that I'm producing that provides solutions to their challenges. So I'm thinking about these things whenever I'm putting out content on a regular basis. And then what I do from there is I start to produce valued content. So a couple of things about content that you should know. First of all, number one is you need to address your audience's top challenges, their pain, their dreams, their desires. So that I'm constantly talking and communicating to them, and I'm constantly focusing on those areas. Just know that content establishes trust. Good content establishes trust, and trust drives revenue. So if I'm constantly talking about entrepreneurship and the foundational principles to be successful as an entrepreneur, and I'm constantly putting that out there, pretty soon I'm going to become an authority in that area. People are going to start to look at me as somebody who's kind of an expert in that area. Therefore, when they need help or guidance, who do you think they're going to reach out to? Network marketing, same thing. If they look at you as an authority, somebody who is constantly putting out valued content. And by the way, when I first got started, and there's some of these videos that are still up there on social media from 10, 12 years ago, I would literally go to a training and sit there and take notes, and I would come home and I'd pull out my little flip video camera and I would do a video that was 2 or 3 minutes long about what I just learned, and I would load it up on social media. Why? Because I was teaching what I just learned, but I knew that I'd be teaching somebody else that's wanting to learn, and I'd be attracting the right people to me, and it helped position me as an authority in the marketplace. And eventually what happened over time, and by the way, this doesn't happen overnight. This is something that you work on and you start building, but ultimately over our career, we've sponsored over 1,000 people in our career, and 90+% of them have come to me asking about our business through what I'm teaching you right now. So just know that quality content establishes trust, trust drives revenue, and consistency is king when it comes to social media. So they're seeing a shift on Facebook right now that's kind of interesting. So Facebook used to be kind of a once or twice a day type of thing. You want to be consistent. What we're seeing is a lot of people migrating to the stories, and Facebook is putting a lot of emphasis on the stories feature. If you're not using stories, definitely start integrating stories. Why? Because it gives people the ability to be able to give them an inside glimpse into, it's almost like your own reality TV show. If you follow my stories, every Sunday night, we do a huge family dinner at my house. I don't do business on Sunday. It's my thing. I remember, that's what I remember about my mom, is bringing the family together and cooking. And I've kind of taken that on as the patriarch in our family. And so I started doing stories about the food that I'm cooking because I love to cook, and just, hey, here's what we're eating tonight, and kind of giving it back, little glimpse into what my life is like at home. People like that because you know what? They get to see you, what you really are about and who you really are and what's important to you. The stories give you an opportunity to connect with people at an entirely different level than anything else that's out there right now. on social media, even more so than lives. Those stories are just powerful. So we're seeing a shift, and a lot of people are putting more of the content on their stories, which means that they're not putting as much content. You still have to be consistent on Facebook. I would say at least once a day or once every other day, you want to get some content up there. But consistency is king. And then you have to think about all of the different channels. If you're going to be an attraction marketer, all of the different channels that you want to be putting content out on. And I'll talk about that in just a few moments. Authenticity, again, is the gateway to building true relationships. Share your story in a way that might be able to inspire others. One of the best ways to connect with others is to share your challenges. Don't just share the highlight reel, but share your challenges, share your fears, share how you took a step on a call to host and intro the call tonight, and how big of a step that was and how you overcame your fears. Share how you did your first presentation and you might have fumbled your way through it, but you know what? You did it. Why? Because people are like, they're in the same spot and they're struggling with the same things. Remember, the pain points of your audience. So you're sharing these things and you're going to start to attract people that are interested in that. You know, I was watching a video last night. So we have a salt river here in Arizona, and people go tubing down it every weekend, thousands of people every weekend. And it's a fun deal, but everybody drops stuff in the river. You know, they drop their sunglasses, you know, there's little cases for their phones. Some of the phones are waterproof, so people lose stuff all the time in the river. And there's this guy that has a YouTube channel, and I think it says Man Meets River, or I can't remember the name of it, but he literally has 3.6 million followers. All he does is go out on the weekends with a little, what's the cameras that you know, the underwater cameras, I forget the name of it, but a GoPro, and he scuba dives and he finds the stuff that people lose. In some cases, he finds phones, and when he can, he'll turn them on. He dries them out, turns them on, and will actually contact the person that lost their phone, and he'll film him going and returning the phone. And he has 3.6 million viewers. And guess what? He's making a full-time income, and he's doing it just because of this content that he's providing. What's he doing? He's sharing his story in a way that inspires others. People love to follow them. They find it entertaining. They like that he's doing good and going out there. I'm not saying that that's what you need to do, but my point is that you want to share yourself with the world and add value with the world. A lot of people ask me, where do I find ideas for content? So for me, I'm very conscious about always paying attention to my surroundings and what's going on. I was coming home from a flight, and one time, and I watched this old man who, I followed him, and we got our bags together, and I watched him walk outside, and then I watched this car pull up, and he was probably in his 70s, and somebody about the same age, a woman, gets out of the car, and the reunion that these two had was one of the most beautiful things that I had ever seen. They both started crying, and it was clear that they hadn't seen each other for some time. And it almost touched me in a way that I almost got teary-eyed just watching it. And I immediately started just writing down a little bit about that experience, because I knew that I was going to share that in a story somehow, some way, about the little things really are the big things in life, and just share that content because I knew people would appreciate that story. And I did, and I shared the story. So I'm paying attention constantly. When I go to bed at night, I'm usually, I listen to different things. I like to listen to Joel Osteen before I go to bed. And so I'll lay down, put him on, and sometimes I'll fall asleep to him, but sometimes he'll say something and I'll have a notepad by my bed and he'll give me an idea, because I always, anytime that I don't write it down, the next morning I have no clue I can't remember what it was. So I'll just write down the idea or the thought. I go to church and I hear something that's said, a concept or an idea, and I write that concept down. And if you guys looked in my notes in my phone, I've got hundreds and hundreds of pages of random thoughts, quotes, things that I heard. And at any given time when I'm looking to create content, I'll go in and scroll through that, and I'll look for an idea that resonates with me that morning. Reading in the morning, that's big for me. You know, the first 30 minutes of the morning, I typically try to read, and I get a lot of, you know, the direction that I go with my content from just reading books. So I'm constantly living my life in a way where I'm always looking to learn something so that I can teach something or share something positive with the world. That's another thing that I decided about my brand is I always wanted to be, you know, if people arrived on my page or they followed me, that they would always find a positive, inspirational message of some kind. I'm not going to be somebody that's sharing negativity. I'm not going to be sharing my dirty laundry. I'm not going to be sharing my problems with the world. I think there's enough of that out there. I want to be a source of inspiration and uplifting people and educational as well. And so that was part of me defining my brand. So those are the places that I find my content. And you can find inspiration just about anywhere today. You just have to start looking for it and paying attention to it. So content marketing strategy, just to give you an idea, the first step is to attract visitors, right? Attract visitors. If I'm talking about Facebook, it's just to attract visitors to my page. From there, once I start to attract them, my hope is that they'll like me enough that they'll go to my notifications tab and they'll select see first, because then they can actually control who they're seeing in their news feeds. And so hopefully, you get people that are following you, or they enjoy coming to your page enough because of your content, and they start feeling like they know you. How many of you feel like you know either a celebrity or somebody that you follow? Never met them before, but you feel like you know them. It's because they let you into their world. And that's exactly what we do on social media. So the idea is to attract visitors. And once we attract them, then it's to start to connect with them, gather information from them. Maybe you offer a free webinar or something of value, and you let them into a group. Now you're bringing them into a more closed setting, right? And then from there, hopefully you're building enough relationships that you can have an interaction with them, maybe on a private message now. You start to get to know each other. Eventually you swap phone numbers with each other, and eventually you request a proposal. You ask them, hey, listen, do you take vitamins or supplements on a regular basis? You're much more likely to be able to get them to say yes and do business with you if you've been following this whole attraction marketing philosophy. So where are the places that you can add value? One place is a Facebook page, right? We know that Facebook is a great place. It's still an outstanding resource to connect with other people. Facebook groups are another place that you can really, really drive value. I'm very purposeful on the groups that I'm a part of. I actually have a spreadsheet of every single group that I'm in, and the last time that I posted content in those groups, and also any notes of people that I might want to pay attention to. And where the good stuff really happens is out in the comments section down below. A lot of people skip over that, but you want to get into the comments and interact with people. When they talk and ask things and make comments, that's where the conversation's happening. Go to the conversation. Don't just post something and hope somebody responds to your post. Get into the conversation. That's how you build real relationships with people. So Facebook groups, LinkedIn, I have articles that are, if you were to follow me on LinkedIn, I've got all kinds of published articles that are posted about network marketing or entrepreneurship that are on my LinkedIn page. And I've spent a lot of time crafting my LinkedIn page to portray the image. Now on LinkedIn, I don't portray as much family stuff because it's more of a professional platform. So it's another thing. You want to make sure that whatever platform that you're on, your content is matching that platform. Instagram, I do a lot of stories on Instagram. So constantly sharing content on stories. I'm constantly talking about, that last week I did a whole story about the FTO gene and how that applies to obesity. So I'm constantly using the stories, and then my pictures. It's again, the pictures are different kind of feel on Instagram sometimes. Pinterest, I'm just going to tell for some of you guys, if you want to really go get into an untapped market right now, especially with Euphoria, go get on Pinterest. Nobody is owning Pinterest right now, and it is huge. There's so many people over there, and there is opportunity on Pinterest as well. YouTube, I have a YouTube channel. I'm constantly putting the videos that I do here. Sometimes I'm slicing them up, and I'll take just the training portions of these calls. I'll post them to YouTube. Sometimes I take my presentations, post them to YouTube. I do use different keywords so that I'm showing up in the search engines, and there's a lot of Euphoria topics that when you search for it, that my videos are popping up. I do that on purpose. Blogging, I don't have a blog right now. That's one of my goals, is to get a blog going again. That's something that I've kind of fallen short on, but there's still no better way to really capture some of that traffic that's out there when you start to get an established blog, because that also allows you to really drive an email list. And that's a whole nother, we could get into that whole training down the road. Stories, we've talked a lot about stories tonight on Facebook and Instagram. Excellent source to be able to put content out there. A couple of other things I want to share with you guys here as we wrap up tonight with Facebook engagement, because this is really important. So how many of you feel like how many of you even heard that only 26 people see your posts, or that not that many people are seeing your posts at all? It feels like it's kind of shifted a little bit, right? That is actually true. Well, first of all, it is a myth when I say only 26 people see your page. That's actually a myth. But what is happening is Facebook is now driving and creating algorithms to show you more of what they think you want to see and less of what you don't want to see. So the problem is sometimes if you don't stay in touch with somebody, they very quickly start to disappear out of your news feeds. And I see people all the time and I'm like, whatever happened to that guy? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen him in my news feeds forever. So you have to really, really work at this. And I want to show you guys something. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. So what's happening a lot right now, and you got to be very, very careful about, is we tend to want to friend all of our people that are on our teams, right? So Facebook, and then who do we interact with? We go and we like all of our people's stuff on our teams. So what ends up happening is you end up with these 30 people that are seeing all of your posts, and they're all Euphoria people already because those are the people that you're interacting with the most. So the algorithms start to just put now the content that you're posting in their news feeds first. And so you've really got to get outside of this, and you've got to work to get outside of this. And so one of the things that I do is I use birthdays every day as a means to get outside of that circle. And one of the things that I do is I go to the birthdays and I leave a voice message on every single person's in their inbox. It's just one way that Facebook sees that I'm interacting with them. Out of the 500 happy birthdays they might get, usually because I send a voicemail, I'll get a response from them. Facebook sees that there's an interaction there and puts them a little bit higher up on the list. And there is no censoring of those. They just tell you everybody's birthday. So that's one place on Facebook that isn't doing that. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm constantly focusing on going through the different news feeds and looking for people that I haven't connected with in a while and going in and commenting and liking. And it's not enough anymore just to like. Facebook has now kind of reduced that on their priority list because it's very easy to just scroll and like. So they're looking for true, authentic engagements. So they're looking for conversations, and not just if somebody comments on your page, you got to comment back. If they see that you're commenting back and having a conversation with them, and there's multiple replies there, they're going to put that person up higher on your list as well. So they're looking for meaningful interactions. Just know that every time that you log in, Facebook loads about 250 posts. You're going to get about 250 posts that show up in your news feeds. And so those 250 posts are probably 6 to 8% of the total friends that you have on Facebook. So you got to work to get outside of that. Sometimes I just open up my friends list and start scrolling through it. I'm like, oh, what happened to that person? And I will click on it and I'll go to their page. There's also something in the algorithms that this happens all the time. So let's say that Calvin and I had not really interacted on Facebook in a while, and I saw his name on a birthday. And I go over to his page, and all I do is click on his page, and I scroll through his news feeds for a little bit. Even if I don't like his page, it never fails. And some of you, this has probably happened to you before. Within 24 hours, that person, it's usually within a couple of hours, will all of a sudden end up on your page liking something. Just because you were on their page, just even looking through, it's the amount of time that you spent on their page. So even if you just go to someone's page, even if there isn't an interaction, believe it or not, the time that you spend on that page actually also helps as well. So, and finally, just know that you have the ability to be able to control who's in your news feeds by just going to that person's page, selecting notifications, and then select see first. So if you were on my page, there's right below the banner, there's a thing that says notifications. Just click that, and you can click see first. And you can also start to control who's showing up into your news feeds first. And Facebook gives you that control and that ability to be able to kind of prioritize who you want in your news feeds. So be careful of this. Remember that you got to work hard to get outside of that circle. And it's why that on one hand, I want to friend everybody on our team, but on the other hand, I also want to friend people that know nothing about Euphoria, and you've got to be conscious and careful about that because you'll end up in this bubble where it's just all Euphoria people talking to all Euphoria people. And you got to be careful with that and work on getting outside of that. So I'm going to stop there for the night. We could drill down this for hours and hours more on a lot of these different topics, but hopefully you got some value out of tonight's training, and I'm just going to open it up to see if there's any thoughts, comments, questions, feedback before we wrap up the call tonight. I silenced the crowd, Calvin, or I bored the crowd, one of the two. Either way.
I was just going to say it's great information. And, I'm sitting over here. You spur so many ideas that I start, going back to my LinkedIn or going back over to Instagram And the one thing I failed at the most is probably the consistency. It's just being able to be consistent and just have it in your schedule. And I learned from a great person named Robin Sharma, who teaches people, like, when you first start your day, spend that first 90 minutes of your day focusing on your number one thing in your life. And that's obviously would be building euphoria if you're here. And so it's like, start your day out that way and get all the things that Travis is talking about and do those like first thing, get it out of the way, or at least plan it and say, okay, I'm going to do because there are times, I don't know, Travis, maybe you can speak on this real quick, but are there still time zones or time frames where most people are active, or when it's the best time to post on Facebook, because you want to kind of schedule it around that?
So the Sunday nights is actually the most heavily attended trafficked night of the week. And it's typically between 6 and 9 o'clock. So that's like the prime time of the week. And then obviously your normal hours, first thing in the mornings, anytime between 7 and 9 o'clock, you're going to have the highest level of traffic. And then you'll see that again pick up after 6 o'clock, or it was like 5 to 8 o'clock in the evening or something like that. I'll actually get a graphic that shows that. I should have included that into training. It's a great piece, but it's usually obviously in the mornings when people, before they're going to work, or if the kids you just drop the kids off, and sometimes you're at the gym or whatever the case might be, people are on social media, and then you're going to see it again at nighttime as well.
What advice would you give to people? I think, especially as you get more and more popular on Facebook, and one of the things that it's really tough to do, the number of notifications that you get each day, how do you manage that yourself? Because I'm sure that you probably have thousands of notifications a day. So how do you figure out where to go and how to do it?
Well, it's I will tell you that if you want attraction marketing to be your funnel, your primary source of building your business, then I'm on social media 4 hours a day. I'm not on social, maybe even 5. I'm not on social media just scrolling through the news feeds, checking out what everybody did in their life. I'm on social media with a purpose. And so that purpose is everything that I just talked to you about. Somebody tags me, I constantly am trying to, and you can't always get to everyone. It's just impossible in some cases. Even just in inboxes, sometimes I overlook or miss an inbox because it just gets kind of crazy. But, if you want attraction to be an attraction marketer, and this is the way you eventually want to build your business, you really have to do this on purpose. And, for me, it's like my first couple of hours of the day is when I'm most creative. And so that's when I write my content. So I typically don't do appointments like at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, because that's my time to read and get my content out there. And by the way, once I do content or create content, I might write an article, and then what I'll do is take that article and film a video. So the same thing, I get it out in multiple places. So that same article will then become a video, and then I might shorten the article for Instagram and maybe use a different picture for Instagram. And so I use that same thing on multiple channels to get a lot of mileage out of that content. But going back to your question, Calvin, I would just tell you that it really is I don't want to use the word job. It's a consistent, conscious thing that you do to do your best to try and be interacting with people on a regular basis. Sometimes if I'll do a live and I'll have 140 comments and I'm busy, the last thing I want to do is go and comment on every single one of them.
Yeah.
I make the time to do it because I know by doing that, and I'll usually like them first, wait a few hours, and then I'll come back and comment on them, because what does it do? It pulls me right back into the news feeds again. Okay. So that just brings my video right back into the news feeds. And then I'll wait a little while, and then I might share it to one of my groups. And once I share it to a group, now it's in a new group, and I'm getting more mileage out of that video. So there's a lot of little things like that you can do, but it definitely is work. It is work.
I'm glad. I appreciate the information. I thought you were going to tell me to have more kids. I figured you had employed 6 of your kids, and each one of them had a role. Like, you're going to go comment, and you're going to go like, and then you're going to go, and so I'm happy that you say it's more like just a job, because I think that's where a lot of us get lost, is we're sitting there scrolling through and we get totally wrapped up in the information that's coming at us. But I think you're right. If you go on purpose and you say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Because I remember doing that when I was really big into internet marketing, is you would basically rewrite the same article in like 30 different ways, and you would post it in different places. It's the same information, but it's picked up as a different thing for search engine optimization. So I would imagine it probably works the same way with Facebook. So that's great. And, I'm going to start doing that as well, because I think, a lot of times I don't know, Christine and I went for a walk tonight. We were thinking about, like, we've come across some people that we found the 20% that don't take supplements. And we're like, man, if we can get these people to be inspired in what we do, then man, we'll just, eat up everybody that's taking supplements. And we were really putting some great content together, and we realized we didn't have a phone. We had walked around the lake without the phone. So, it's just like, don't let the opportunity miss. So, I like it. Put an article together, do some writing, and then, shoot a video, post a page on, Instagram or a picture. And I love it, man. It's really great information to be able to share with everybody. So thank you.
You bet. Just being intentional is the key, you guys, especially with social media. Don't just get on social media just to waste time. Always be intentional with everything. Even if you are scrolling, make sure that you're scrolling, clicking on a page, going in, liking, comment on a couple of the videos. All those little things are going to make sure that they're seeing your content when it comes time. There's a book out there called Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's talking about jabbing, constantly jabbing. Think about a fighter, right? You've got your hands up and you're jabbing, but really what you're doing is you're setting them up so eventually you can come in with a right hook. So it's the same concept with social media. You're jabbing by putting out content, good content. Oh, that's a great, look at the family picture. Look at, oh, that's a great inspirational. And then pretty soon I'll come in and I'll draw them in and draw them in and draw them in, and then I'll throw a right hook and say, man, let me tell you what's going on in my business right now. And then I go right back to jabbing again. So it's the same concept with social media. And it's a great book if you want it, guys. Gary Vaynerchuk put that together. All right. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Trav, I had a quick comment if you...
Yeah. Hey, Kath. Hey, Kath.
Can you hear me at all?
Yep, we can.
I drop out. I know it's late, but, it was just neat to see those pictures. And when I look back on those, like your first photo shoot picture, that's right around the time that you and I met.
Yep.
And that is, I could say that picture of you guys all around the campfire, I think that attracted my family to your family. And now we've become friends, and our kids have grown up together. We've been friends for years. But I remember I had been in direct sales for many years just from the standpoint, little dibble dabble, just selling things, not building a team. Didn't even know I could build a team. I was just a stay-at-home mom. And then I had, gotten into Fusion and Arbonne, but honestly, I wasn't happy. I wasn't feeling like I was around professionals at the time. And I remember seeing your pictures, no lie. And I remember telling my husband, Mark, I said, I want to connect with this family. This is someone I want to learn from. And I think I even remember our first conversation. I said hi to you, and then when you actually said hi, I was like, wow. And you kind of said, and I was in a different company, and I didn't know if it was even okay to talk to you, and you just said, hey, if you ever need anything in the industry, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
And it kind of blew my brain. And so anyway, I'm done, but I just want to share that I really feel like that's worked, and it's anyway. I love it.
No, I'm so glad you just shared that. This is a perfect example of everything we've been talking about tonight. So Catherine and I connected 10 years ago on social media through the content that we were doing on purpose because we defined our brand. Catherine and I, and we attracted somebody who has similar values as us. We became dear friends with their family, and Catherine is now, got one of the largest organizations in all of Euphoria. And I'm very blessed to be able to work with Catherine and her husband, Mark. And yet, how did that happen? Because of what we were doing on social media. That's a perfect example right there. So Catherine, thank you for sharing that. All right. I think we've got time to wrap up. Anybody else before we close? I know we went a little bit longer tonight. I know this isn't always the most exciting content and stuff to talk about, but if social media is part of your overall, and by the way, I don't think that I'm not telling you this is the way you should build. I believe in high tech, high touch. I still believe in coffee table presentations and going out and meeting people. I just choose to build it this way because I don't want to have to be in living rooms all around the country to build my business. I made a decision, this is my business, that I'm not going to live on the road. I'm not going to build the business at the expense of my family. I'm going to build it for my family. So I have chosen to become an authority and an expert in this area because it fits with the way I want to do it. You know that it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen if you continually are consistent. So we'll close on that thought tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you got some value, tonight, I would ask you to do one thing. Head over to the live that was posted in Legacy tonight and just share your thoughts, comments, or feedback. What that does is it helps those that maybe weren't here tonight come back and watch the replay. I think that there's some good value, and I'm sure some of you guys are probably saying, man, I wish I had some team members on tonight. So I would invite you to just share whatever stood out to you or any thoughts or feedbacks that you guys had, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night on our overview. We'll appreciate you guys being here tonight. Have a great evening. Let's go out and kick butt this week.